Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on launching your digital business in Dubai. We'll talk you through strategy for setup and fundraising. My name is Sarah Sadouk. I'm the Director of Innovation at entrepreneur.com here in the MENA region, and I'm thrilled to be your host today. It's fantastic to see a great turnout for today's webinar and the continued engagement on the App Olympic Learning Hub platform. So I'm pleased to welcome the App Olympics alumni, as well as the Emirati Training Academy graduate and members who are joining us today. So welcome everyone to this webinar. To give you a bit of a background of this webinar is an extension of the Create Apps initiative and the App Olympics competition and learning hub. The Create App initiative was announced by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan to situate Dubai as a global hub for mobile app innovation. The App Olympics was a 6-month competition that concluded on the 29th of February this year with a grand award ceremony at the Museum of the Future, and where we saw 1,100 applicants apply from 64 different countries. Many of you were part of this competition, and we'll be thrilled to give you new updates in the coming month on what's going to happen next for the second version of it. Going back to our webinar and our Learning Hub, you all have access to the App Olympic HouseSpecs Learning Hub, which is a learning hub that gives you access to learning modules, but also access to exciting events such as the workshop today. Through the Learning Hub, you also have access to communities. So whether you are wishing to have receive feedback on your application, or you want to have some input from others on ideation of your idea, or if you are just looking for technical advice, you're welcome to join us on the 3 communities on the platform. Starting from the 17th of April, we will be also hosting beta testing session, so I invite you to register yourself on the platform. Without further ado, going back to the panelists today, allow me to introduce you to 3 incredible speakers who will share their expertise and guide us through the ABC of setting up your digital business, but also raising funds. Firstly, allow me to introduce you to Anwar Pirani. Hello, Anwar. Anwar Pirani is a digital economy strategist. He is currently shaping the digital ecosystem at the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy. He has a track record of fostering business expansion in the Middle East and has a strong financial background, having worked for the Royal Bank of Canada for many years. Next, we have Lucia Campos, who is a results-oriented Dubai business setup consultant working at Astrolab. She brings a global expertise and hands-on experience in crafting and implementing marketing, PR, and business development strategies across different sectors, such as hospitality, tech, and e-commerce. So she creates inspiring content and drives emotional connection between consumers and brands. Lastly, we have Philippe Caspers Babst, who is a senior associate at the Dubai Future District Fund, which is a 200 million VC fund and a direct investment platform backed by the government of Dubai. Before his current role, Philippe founded 3 ventures, including a crypto investment fund, and he also launched the Microsoft for Startups program, the Microsoft Growth X Accelerator, and the Highway of the 100 Unicorn Conference in partnership with Avio across the Middle East. A warm welcome to you all. And before we dive into today's session, let me give you an overview of what to expect. So today we are going to understand what is the Dubai digital entrepreneurship ecosystem, including licensing procedure, regulatory consideration, and resources for startup. We'll also dive into how to develop effective pitching strategies for venture capitalists, and finally, how to build relationship and network for with VCs for investment opportunities. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Anwar, who will provide us insight into Dubai's digital landscape and entrepreneurship ecosystem. Anwar, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Sarah, and thank you guys all for joining this session today. I know you're all from the Create Apps initiative, as well as those from the Emirati Training Academy. So I thought this would a good way to actually start off this webinar. We thought would be to give you guys some more insights on some of the initiatives we are doing as the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy, and one in particular that we feel like would be of great value to you, and how we can basically help you guys support or help support you guys in either setting up your businesses, getting connected to the right people here to help you succeed once you've done that. So I'll just share my screen here really quickly, and just get started there. Great. So at the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy, under his guidance of Sheikh Mohammed, they basically decided that they wanted to make the Dubai Chambers more impactful within the Dubai economy as a whole. So what they did is they actually split the Dubai Chamber into three main verticals. You've got your normal Dubai Chamber of Commerce, your Dubai International Chambers, and then you've got your Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy, which is where we fall. So as part of the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy, our aim is to strengthen Dubai's position as a global leader in the digital economy. It's to create a stimulating environment that supports the growth of digital companies and attract specialized talent, leading companies, and new investments into the city of Dubai as well. Now, the way that we go about doing this and some of the services that we provide would be anything from policy advocacy, ecosystem building, training programs such as the one that you guys are on now, publications and studies, as well as doing large conferences or hosting large conferences such as Expand North Star, which is the largest tech conference in the world now. But I think the initiative that I would like to speak to you guys about in particular is one called Business in Dubai. Business in Dubai was an initiative that we launched, soft launched last year in July, and did a full launch last year in October. It's basically a platform whereby any sort of tech-enabled companies, such as yourselves, who are looking to end up setting up an entity here in Dubai, can basically go onto this platform, fill out the information on there, letting us know who you are, what you guys do, who you guys are looking to get connected with, what are your challenges here, and fill out all that information. It is a pretty comprehensive form that you would be able to fill out. Once you've filled out that information for us, you'll go through a qualification process. We will then jump on a call with you as well, just to get a better understanding of your business, what it is that you guys would like to do, and who we could get you connected with to help you succeed. Once we've had that call with you as well, we can then start reaching out to our program partners who've also been onboarded onto this platform, which could be anything from large corporates to large government entities, licensing authorities, large VCs, who we can then start getting you connected with as well. Some of the functions within there would be anything from, like I said, business introduction, soft landing into Dubai, upskilling, and advisory. And over here, like I said, how the process basically works would be, you do an application, you go through the qualification process and selection stage, requirement identification stage, and then introductions to secondary parties happen from there. I've actually shared the QR code for this particular initiative on the right side of this slide over here. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes just to be able to scan that QR code. And I think happy to take a few questions for the next couple of minutes in regards to this initiative as well. But thanks.
Thank you so very much, Anwar, for this great introduction of what are the different options of doing business in Dubai. For the participant on the call, I know you're coming from different part of the world, so that's why it is key for us to hear from you, whether you're based in Dubai or you're based in another country. Please feel free to drop your question on the chat box or on the chat on the Q&A box as well. So this is the first part of our webinar. I'm happy to reintroduce you to Lucia Campos now, who will be giving us great insight on how to set up your digital business in Dubai. Lucia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. Let me just share my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen now. Okay, so I'm going to run you through a little bit of the startup environment and tech ecosystem here in Dubai and in the UAE. Then we'll jump into some differences between free zones and mainlands. And finally, what is Astrolabs and how it can support you with incorporating your business here in the UAE. So to begin with, we have some numbers here which are just pretty incredible to see how the UAE has grown in population in the past 10 years. It's tripled. Its GDP has tripled. The leading industries, I mean, obviously we know that real estate, construction, transportation, hospitality, they're all tourism, they're all huge industries, but we also have a really big digital industries support. Like in fintechs, AI, a lot of SaaS and e-commerce. And the same thing when we zoom into Dubai. We've seen the same growth, exponential growth in population and in GDP. It's quadrupled in the past 10 years. And some of the leading tech industries include Web3, AI, fintechs, and we really do see this at Astrolabs. So why Dubai? Why set up your tech startup in Dubai? First of all, the UAE ranks first in VC funding in MENA, followed by, I think, Israel. So that's very impressive. We have here in the UAE over 40 free zones, and more than 50% of those, around 26, are in Dubai. Just here in DMCC, where Astrolabs is located, last year, we had 5,000 technology companies that were operating in the MCC. So that's quite impressive. And another reason of why set up is because we're a global hub for tech and entrepreneurship. So as you have seen with the App Olympics and the Create Apps initiatives, the government launches several initiatives that includes like funding opportunities, also access to VC firms, crowdfunding platforms. So we really do have an entrepreneurial culture that supports this space and the innovation. As well as if you're starting your own business, it is a launchpad to other high growth markets like Asia, APAC in general as well, Africa and Europe, of course, because of its location. We have lots of tax incentives, friendly visa regulations, and to set up a business, it's a very streamlined process, as we'll go into depth a little bit further on. As well as, I mean, the established networks, all the trade organizations, business councils, industry associations that really provide a space for partnership opportunities, funding, and market intelligence. Now, jumping into mainland versus free zone. In my line of business and in my day-to-day job, this is the #1 question that I face from clients is, what is the difference between setting up a business in the mainland versus in the free zone? And especially another one that I get is, which one is better? There's really no right or wrong answer. It really depends on your business objectives and what you're looking for. So I'll go briefly into the main differences. So when we speak about mainland or onshore companies, these are non-free zone areas within the UAE where the companies are governed by federal laws and regulations. Now, for a free zone, there are a special economic area that's designated in the UAE where companies can operate under more flexible regulations and they enjoy various incentives. Some of the advantages of being in a free zone, for example, are the tax incentives. So if you're a business located in a free zone, you are not subject to the 9% corporate tax rate that mainland companies are subject to. Obviously, this is for qualifying income. You can go into a little bit more detail, but in general, you don't face that 9% corporate tax. Another advantage is the streamlined business setup and support that you receive from the free zone, as well as the established networks that exist in each free zone. So you'll find more of a community of a hub within the free zones for designated industries. So for example, for tech companies, where you can, get support and network with other entrepreneurs, collaborate, you can engage in knowledge sharing. And that is what Astrolabs essentially is in the DMCC. We're a tech hub. We're one of the DMCC's tech hubs. What we do is support businesses to set up, scale up, and also connect and collaborate with each other. Some of the considerations that you need to have for a free zone is that if you set up in a free zone, you can only operate or be located within the free zone. You cannot have an office in mainland if you're registered in a free zone. As well as here in the UAE, the way free zones are set up, each free zone has specific business activities. So if you know a little bit about free zones in the UAE, you've noticed that there's DIFC, which has all the financial and regulated financial activities. You have other free zones like Dubai Internet City, Dubai Studio City. So depending on the line of business that you are, you might go to a free zone because they have the type of business activities that are more accurate for your line of business. In regards to tech, DMCC actually has the biggest number of business activities outside of mainland, and I think the other one is Jebel Ali Free Zone. So we are very friendly for tech companies to come and set up their business activities here. And well, finally, I mentioned the requirement to lease the office space within that free zone. Now, what is Astrolabs? Astrolabs wears many hats and we do many things, but essentially we support the expansion of high growth businesses in the Gulf region. So over the past 11 years, we've been doing the supporting of tech companies. We've expanded over 1,600 companies to the region, including UAE and Saudi Arabia. We've also advised and consulted over 1,500 companies through sector building programs. And we have an active community of over 10,000 people in both countries, UAE and Saudi. And how can Astrolabs support your startup? Well, we do that through three main arms. It's essentially market entry. So whether you're a homegrown startup that's looking to set up their business and you're already here in the UAE, whether you have an international tech business outside of the UAE and you want to enter the market, or even if you just want to join our co-working space, we'll help you with our comprehensive solutions. So we have a co-working space where you can come and join just as a community member, or we provide licensing solutions to kind of help you with a streamlined setup. We also have business growth solutions. So basically helping you with soft landing, PRO, GRO, just so you can focus on your day-to-day operations and kind of outsource everything else to us, and we can help you with these needs that you might have to run your business. And finally, we also have a program arm, which is not so relevant to this presentation. However, it is important because we do collaborate with leading private organizations as well as government entities to build these programs, which allows us to have a very expanded network, which can sometimes, it can obviously be very handy to our members. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about our community before we jump into the actual licensing process, just so you get an idea of why we're a tech hub and what makes us different. So Astrolabs only works with DMCC. We've been partnered with them since 2015. And our companies, we've registered over 800 companies here in the free zone in the past 10 years. We've had over $450 million in funding in the past 2 years, while five companies with successful exits in the past 2 years. So you'll be familiar with some big names here, especially Builder.ai, that was part of the App Olympics initiative. Is going to help the winners build their apps, as well as some big names like Fresha, Deliveroo, and Trucker. So what does Astrolabs provide to businesses? Basically, we provide monthly investment opportunities. We do tech talent recruitment. We have monthly workshops and boot camps, as well as networking with partners or clients that may help you scale up, as well as partner VCs that you can see here on the right. We have 5 partner VCs, including Flat 6 Labs, Deco Capital, that we provide opportunities to our members with. Now to tell you a little bit more about the actual business setup process itself. Setting up a business in the UAE, in the MCC especially, it's a very streamlined process. It's going to take around 1.5 to 2 months from beginning to end, from the moment that you join Astrolabs till the moment that you have your corporate bank account open and your business is up and running. So one of the benefits that we provide our members is that we give them access to a highly discounted DMCC business license for the first year. You get a 95% subsidy rate. So your business license for the first year will only be 1,905 dirhams, which is great for a company that is just starting. And then we help businesses with monthly payments for their lease agreements, so we can ease their cash flow and thus ensure their success during that first critical year of a company's business. Our package as well, our licensing support provides 5 visa allocations, as well as the support from our team. So we have a team of over 100 people that is supporting your business in different ways. It might be with introductions, it might be with organizing events, it might be with actually putting you in contact with a PRO to help you with your visa. So that is our area of expertise, one of our areas of expertise. Now, in terms of the company licensing timeline, now bear in mind that this is going to vary on many factors. One of them being if you set up in a mainland versus a free zone, and depending on the free zone, they're all going to have their different timelines and their different requirements. Now, for DMCC, if you're setting up a new individual company, this is what the timeline is going to look like. It'll take you around 2 weeks to get your commercial business license. You'll then proceed to applying for your establishment card, which takes around 2 days. Once you have your business license and establishment card, you can move to the 3rd stage, which is your visa application. So if you don't already have a UAE resident visa or an Emirates ID, or if you want to move your visa under your new business, you have to go through that process, which all in all, depending on if you already have a visa and an Emirates ID and your health exam done, it may take between 15 to 28 days. And finally, the final step is once you have your Emirates ID, you can proceed with the opening up of your corporate bank account, which is a process that can take also between anywhere from 15 days to 45 days. This will depend and vary depending on the bank that you go with, any KYC requirements that they might have. It depends on the business. It depends on your passport. So this is a step where Astrolabs also provides support because it can be a little bit tricky at times. So this is something we obviously provide support from beginning to end and then ongoing as you are a member and you're here with us. But definitely during the business setup process, the bank setup is something that we provide support with. And finally, for Create App members who set up their business here through Astrolabs, you're going to be eligible to avail a 10% discount on our yearly membership fees. So please do get in contact with me at lucia@astrolabs.com if this is something that you're interested in. Or if you have any questions, please pop them into the chat and I'll try to answer them. As well as if you have any questions after the presentation, I'd be happy to have a chat.
Thank you so much, Lucia, for this great presentation. So just to recap, if you are looking at opening your business in Dubai, you have two different options, either the mainland or the free zone. And if you decide to go for the free zone, we will request, Lucia will be happy to assist you. And if you are looking at any other mainland options, please reach out to us on appolympics@bncpublishing.net, whether you are looking at opening your business in the free zone or in the mainland, or if you have any question, please reach out to us. We will drop the email address on the chat box and we will connect you with the right people at the Dubai Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy and Astrolab as well as a key partner of the DCD. Moving forward, we have a couple of questions. So allow me to retrieve the questions for you, Lucia. One of the participants would like to know if it is possible to trade in Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and MENA region once they acquire a business license in Dubai.
Yes, it's completely possible. If you have a business license, be it in the mainland or in a free zone. One of the advantages of being in a free zone is that if you are doing business, so this depends really on what sort of license do you have. So if you have a trading license, you can trade with Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and MENA, the MENA region. It all just really depends on the tax. Like you'll be able to, but if you're in a free zone and you are providing services for trading with a company that is in another country, you won't be subject to any corporate tax. If you are trading with a company that is in the mainland or providing services for a company that is in the mainland, you will face the 9% corporate tax rate on that revenue. So you are able to service clients in any of those places.
Thank you so very much. Another question on the similar line. I have from Fatima Shahli, sorry. I have a business license in Sharjah free zone. Can I move to Dubai?
So
can I move it to Dubai?
Okay, so can you move the business license from Sharjah to Dubai? So
is that the question, Fatima? But I would be curious as well.
Yes.
That's the question.
So it honestly, what we recommend our clients that have a business license in another free zone is to shut the company down and open it up in the new free zone that they want to go. This because transferring a business license from free zone to free zone, especially if it's Emirates to different Emirates, can be a complicated process. It can be lengthy, it can be costly. So at the end of the day, it's easier for you to shut the company down and open up from scratch somewhere else to save time, money, and very possibly a headache.
Thank you so much. And talking about obstacles or further questions, there's a question from T.S. Paskov. I will just rephrase it. So is it up to date that the corporate tax does not affect the free zone?
So here is where we go into a little bit of the nitty gritty of the tax incentives. So free zone entities do not face corporate tax on qualifying income. So Again, any income that meets the de minimis requirements will not face income tax, corporate tax, sorry. Any revenue that does not meet the de minimis requirements will face that 9% corporate tax. Now you'll have to look into your specific business activities and who you're invoicing and who you're servicing or trading with a tax expert to see if that specific revenue meets those requirements and will have to be taxed. Something important to note is that all free zone entities, regardless, all entities in the UAE and Dubai, have to be tax registered. So it doesn't matter that if you're in a free zone, you still have to register and you still have to submit the tax registration. And then you'll be exempt from it, but you do have to go through the process regardless.
Thank you so much. And on the same topic, we have a question from Mohammed Reza Ali, who says, as a foreigner, we're subject to double tax unless we can acquire a tax register certificate from Dubai. Is this something Ashraf can assist with? And to get registered for VAT or other tax mandates, can you assist the participant with this?
Yes. So yes, unless the country has a double tax treaty, you will be subject to double tax. And a way to be exempt from this double taxation is to get the certificate. So we have supported businesses recently. We have a lot of companies from India that we've supported with this, a lot of companies from Serbia actually as well. So we have supported them in getting this certificate on behalf of Astrolabs for them. And finally, if you do need to get registered for VAT, anything that you need in regards to tax, to auditing, we work with partners, trusted partners that we can refer you to. So we won't do it ourselves in-house, but we will refer you to our partners who can sort you out and who have preferential rates for Astrolabs members.
Thank you so much. And we have another 2 minutes for 4 questions, so we'll try to make it as short as possible. So to start with, is there any revenue or a minimum revenue, minimum worker or status differentiation between free zone and mainland?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Is there any differentiation between free zone and mainland? Any requirement in terms of minimum revenue, minimum workers, number of I would say maybe head count or status? What's the difference between the free zone and mainland?
So in terms of, I think it comes down more to the space. So for every business license, you need a lease agreement. And the minimum space that you need for that lease agreement is one flexi desk, which is most common in a free zone. However, you can of course find co-working spaces in the mainland. You would just have to find one that issues lease agreements. But in terms of revenue, number of workers, status, there's really not that much of a difference in regards to being set up in free zone versus mainland. Not different requirements.
Thank you so much. The 2 last questions. Which stage of the business do you recommend setting up in Dubai? That's a very good question, especially for Astrolab, because you're involving startup from scratch, I would say. And knowing that they are the first year of the launch in their home country and they're working towards the proof of concept. This is a question from Sausan Al-Jabal.
So yes, this is a very good question and one that I advise clients often when they come to me with, oh, I have this idea, or oh, I want to start this business, but maybe they're not at the stage of having the app developed or having the software developed. They haven't launched an MVP, they haven't tested it. When they come to me at that stage, I do advise them to go back, work on it, and once they're ready to launch or they have tested it, to set up their business entity. This because one of the key factors in if a startup makes it or not is if they are able to manage their finances and their cash flow correctly during that first year. And when you set up your business, you're gonna have just monthly costs, recurring costs, operating costs that you and responsibilities that you're going to have to pay. So it is much easier to do that once you know you're ready, than that you might start generating revenue. So taking into consideration at DMCC that it takes around 2 months to be up and running, I always suggest, like, from that moment that you're going to launch your product and you're going to acquire clients, or you already have clients lined up, start the incorporation process 2 months before that.
Wonderful. We have a last question that can be addressed, I think, quickly. Could Astrolab assist us starting a bridge funding round to assist us in setting up our tech business in Dubai?
So Astrolabs does provide support and connections to investors. We provide a variety of different ways in which we support startups. So for example, if someone it's a bridge funding round, imagine it's like
Yes.
between seed and Series A, if it's a bridge round. So it really depends on what stage you're in and what support you need. So we support with pitch deck development, with the actual pitch preparation. We do connect you with investors on a monthly basis. And it really depends on what the investors are looking to invest in, what the VCs, what their portfolio is made out of. But we do support in a variety of ways. We would have to look into your specific business, so I can go into more details of how Astrolabs can support, because obviously it's a tailored approach. We don't just offer the same things for everyone, because everyone is in a different stage of their entrepreneurial journey. So please do reach out if you have any questions specific to your business, and if you're interested in joining Astrolabs, I can be a little bit more specific.
Thank you so much, Lucia. Thank you so much for this insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing so much of your knowledge about setting up the business in Dubai. Moving forward, we will be sharing the webinar. We'll be recording the webinar and sharing it on the platform, and we'll be providing you also access to the speaker today. So without further ado, I would like to reintroduce you to our third speaker, Philippe Babst. Sorry, I hope I'm saying your name correctly for the third time.
Beautiful pronunciation.
Thank you, thank you. So Philippe, I think everyone is excited now to hear more about how to craft a compiling pitch and how to talk to VCs to raise funds. So the floor is yours. Please, we are looking forward to hearing the presentation.
Okay, fantastic. Look, pleasure meeting you all. Shame I can't see you. I usually prefer these sessions to be interactive, but I think we can cope in this construct. I'm just going to pull up a couple of slides, which I'll use as visual aid during my presentation. I'll just introduce myself quickly, talk about the company I represent, the Dubai Future District Fund, and then I will talk about how to create a good pitch and how to build relationships with VCs. So I'm just in the process of sharing my screen. Please let me know if that has worked. Seems like it's all good from my side.
So we can see your screen if you want to put it on full screen.
This function is hidden by somehow, but I think if I do this.
On the left bottom side, on the bottom side.
Yeah, the thing is, it's blocked, that bar, so just.
Okay.
Bear with me. Not allowing me. So let me do this again. No idea why this is not. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, sorry about that.
Thank
But
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
so as mentioned, I'll talk about what makes a great pitch. But before that, I'll just take a couple of minutes to introduce myself. First of all, to give a little bit of context on who I am, what I do on a day-to-day basis, and what I used to do in a past life. Then I will introduce the Dubai Future District Fund to you. So the Dubai Future District Fund is a venture capital fund, but slightly different from your private VC. So I'll spend a bit of time on that, and then we will go into the main topic of today. So just about myself, I'm actually an ex-entrepreneur, or I like to say recovering entrepreneur myself. I founded 3 startup ventures throughout my career so far. One in the advertising space and 2 in the Web3 blockchain industry. I think some of that was mentioned in my introduction. After riding the roller coaster for a couple of years, I decided it was time to leave Europe. So I was based in the UK before, and moved to Dubai because I was very excited about what was happening in the local startup ecosystem, and I very much had the intention of setting up a business here on the ground, just like you, I guess. I ended up deciding against that because I moved literally 5-6 months before COVID, which obviously made it very difficult for me to meet with people, to kind of integrate myself into the ecosystem. So in order to get to know the environment a little bit better, I actually joined Microsoft for 2 years prior to taking on this role. And I helped them set up their startup business unit across the Middle East and Africa. We basically brought some of the global programs into the region, but also created some region-specific programs in partnership with the Abu Dhabi Investment Office that are still running today. And the idea there was to basically connect the startup ecosystem with the corporate world, as well as some of the big government entities here in the region. Since 2 years, however, I changed my perspective. I now sit at the other side of the table. I represent the Dubai Future District Fund, essentially the Dubai government's venture capital fund, as an investor. So what I look at on a day-to-day basis are deals or investment opportunities in companies like the ones that you're trying to build. But we also act as an LP. So we don't only directly invest, but we support other VC funds around the region from a capital perspective. I guess that's quite a good segue to let me talk about the Dubai Future District Fund as a whole. So I think I might just, before boring you with all of the details, I start off with giving you a bit of background on, first of all, why we exist, and then secondly, I'll follow that up with how we're different from the private VCs in the market. So why we exist is pretty simple. Dubai has actually emerged as a startup hub in the region quite organically, believe it or not. I think there's always this misconception that the market is flushed with cash, and that has kind of promoted the exponential growth of the ecosystem that we've seen over the last 10 years. But that's not the truth. Although there's a lot of capital floating around and locked up in various pockets, not a lot of that capital has actually landed onshore here. So the sovereign wealth vehicles here in the region are big capital allocators on a global scale, but none of that capital has, or not a lot of that capital has actually been reinvested into our own economy. It's starting to change now, and I guess we are one of those kind of steps into that direction. So the Sheikh Al Maktoum, who actually announced this fund at the end of 2021, launched this vehicle with the intention to unify the investment activities that have sporadically happened across the government through one structured vehicle. And the reason why we need that is because, you know, we were kind of, the Dubai government has innovation at the top of its agenda for various reasons, unlike some other governments, which I personally got very excited about. So the innovators are being drawn into the market, but in order to execute and to start scaling their businesses, there was a big funding gap for us to fill. Dubai government entities or UAE government entities started sporadically investing into the innovation space over the last 10 years, but because the ecosystem is so new, a lot of that investment activity was very unstructured and to a certain degree chaotic. And we were launched as an answer to this. Yeah. Now you might think, why the hell does the government need to get involved in this themselves? Why don't we just give money to the other funds that are operating in the region? That would be a good question. So that is one of the reasons why we're actually structured as a funds of funds and direct investment vehicle. We don't want to be competing with the private sector, but instead support them. But we thought it was still interesting to get involved. For one, to unify investment activity, because obviously together we're stronger, right? Especially if you look at what's happening in the Saudi market now, where they're investing heavily directly of the sovereign wealth funds balance sheets. There's similar activities happening in Abu Dhabi, but there's really on the early stages from kind of seed all the way to Series A specifically, there's a massive funding gap which we're planning to fill. So at the end of 2021, we were announced we started deploying capital in the beginning of 2022. We were anchored by two of the Dubai government entities, one being the Dubai Future Foundation. Not sure how familiar you guys are with the Dubai Future Foundation, but they can probably be viewed as somewhat of the innovation arm of the Dubai government, and then a pretty prominent free zone here in Dubai called the DIFC. This is actually also where we're based, and which is really the financial center of Dubai. So these two entities have trusted us with $200 million to kick off operations at the beginning of 2022. We started deploying that quite aggressively, although the market was a bit rocky for the first year and a half for sure. But we actually have 27 portfolio companies at the moment, 15 direct investments and 12 funds. So this is kind of like an overview or snapshot of who we are, but I'll go into some of those aspects in a bit more detail. Before I do that, I might just give you key highlights our leadership. So we are not government professionals that are trying to deploy capital, but instead we all come from the industry. The fund is led by Sharif El-Badawi. I mean, he's been in the industry for ages. He started off his career in the States as a startup founder. The company that he worked for was then acquired by Google. Through that, he became a Google executive for a bunch of years before he decided to leave the West Coast and to come to the region. He initially set up 500 startups. They're called 500 Global now, brought them to the region. And after deploying that fund, set up the Dubai Future District Fund in partnership with Amr and Nader. Amr also comes with a very great track record in venture capital, mergers and acquisitions, and is a very strong regional investor. And Nader Al-Bastaki, he actually joined us from one of our LPs. He used to be the chief strategy officer at the Dubai Future Foundation, and then joined us about a year ago now as the head of ecosystem development and portfolio development. So just a little bit about our investment strategy, because this is very uncommon. So we invest 50% of our capital directly into startups. So we are early stage investors. So that means we can consider opportunities anywhere from pre-seed stage until Series B. Obviously, the check sizes for each one of the stages are slightly different and vary, and it's actually quite a broad range. But we tend to come up with the check sizes based on kind of the dilution dilution target of a particular company in a certain round and relative to kind of valuation at the time. Once a portfolio once a company is in our portfolio, we have got the optionality to follow on investments, and that is even possible beyond Series B, as you can see here. So we can deploy our last check in the Series C round, and after that, our equity will ride until exit. This is the part of the business that I'm predominantly operating in. So I'm sort of a generalist and specialist at the same time. My speciality is obviously Web3, blockchain, and now to a certain degree also AI due to my background as a founder in these particular industries. But as we are quite a small team, we tend to dabble in pretty much everything together. Now, the other side of the business is slightly different, and this is our funds of funds mandate, meaning that 50% of our capital gets dedicated to supporting other private VCs in the market. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, our intention is not to compete with the private market, but to partner and to grow the ecosystem as a whole. So we come in just like any other LP, analyze the fund deals, and then when we see a match from like a thesis and a performance point of view, we invest into those fund vehicles. So
anyone who wants to pitch their idea, you're the person. They can send their pitch deck to you, is it?
So we do have I prefer this all going through a website, because as you can imagine, we do see quite a lot of opportunities every single day. So if anyone wants to pitch for investment, the best way to go about this is to visit dfdf.vc. I'm happy to share that in the chat here. And we've got two different application forms on there, one for funds and one for direct investments. And the best thing would be just to fill that out, and we will get back to the applicant as soon as we can.
Super.
So usual turnaround time is 48 hours. So you're not going to be waiting for months, I promise you that. And we do actually look at every single opportunity that comes across our desk. But once it's in the system, it is definitely easier for us to handle than if someone reaches out by email. However, if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those, of course. And I'm happy to share my email address for anyone who.
Okay, we will share it on the chat box. I'm just conscious of the time, so we are very we will extend the session by 10 minutes, and we are very excited to now hear what kind of pitch participant will have to apply with on the link you just shared. So, Philippe,
Okay, happy
give
to
us
jump into that.
Yeah, enlighten us, please.
Happy to jump into that. Look, I mean, it is not a very complicated topic, right? But I think my attempt here is to tell you a couple of things that might not be so obvious and that easy to find online by just a simple Google search. But let's maybe talk about kind of key components of an effective pitch that someone like me would like to see when you apply for investment. I think the number one thing you need to pay attention to before you do anything, before you think about the outline of your pitch, or before you even think about an approach, is to really, really get to know your audience, right? You need to know who you're speaking to, and then tailor your approach and your content accordingly. I'll speak about that in the next slide, but I thought I'd just kind of start off with that because that is really one of the key aspects that most of the founders kind of forget about. Knowing your audience is something that sounds very obvious, but if as a founder you're in day-to-day, building your product, obsessed with the customer problem that you're looking to solve, it is sometimes hard to take a step away from everything and to look at yourself and your proposition from a fresh lens. Yeah. So I think that is this kind of the first step, right? So understand who you're selling to. And then once you've defined that, you can start thinking about an outline for your pitch, right? I think what is very, very important is to get a clear understanding of the problem that you're solving, right? As it's key to not start off with the solution, because ultimately what defines a market, what defines an opportunity is the size of a problem that your particular company is solving, right? We need to figure out in that particular a section, which is usually followed by an explanation of your solution, how big the problem really is and whether that's big enough for funds to invest in an opportunity like this. Yeah. So, and then that's also very interesting point. I'm happy to kind of speak about that at a later stage as well. Um, if a VC rejects your opportunity, it doesn't mean that your business is bad necessarily. Yeah, but it could theoretically mean that, hey, yeah, we really like what you're building, we really like the problem that you're addressing, but we don't see the opportunity as big enough for a fund like us. So that means it's a no from us, it's a no from other VCs around the market, but an angel investor or someone who's very kind of niche focused on your particular vertical might find this the most exciting thing ever. And that is exactly why knowing your customer is such an important point to keep in mind at every single step that you go through. So once the problem has been defined, once the solution has been defined with clearly highlighted USPs, right? Like I want to know how your solution is different from the rest. Again, you need to think about it from our perspective. We see thousands and thousands of applications every single year. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of duplicates. So if I see yet another marketplace that sells clothes, I want to know why your marketplace is unique from the next. And I think that is one thing that founders very often forget about in their pitch deck. Okay, I get what you're doing, but how are you different and how are you doing it better? Yeah? Now, then moving on from the problem and solution, focus on traction and your total addressable market. Yeah, so that's kind of the second piece. In the traction section, I mean, what you can display and promote really depends on the maturity of your startup. I mean, if you're just starting off, with an MVP or kind of like a prototype of some sort, then yes, you can't be advertising any revenues, but then maybe projected revenues are interesting, and then just highlighting of how far you've come in a given period of time is super valuable. Maybe you can get some kind of proof from either the customers you've interacted with, some of the other stakeholders in the market that basically confirm that what's being built is kind of best in class and very, very interesting to them. Moving on from that, again, similar to my comment on the problem, you need to define how big is the market that you're addressing, right? So we call that total addressable market. There's some subcategories to that. Every founder includes that in their deck, but the numbers are in most cases absolutely meaningless. Yeah, so they say, yes, in the entertainment industry, there have been, the entertainment industry is $7 trillion large. Okay, great. But where do you fit in that? Where is your particular opportunity? What I like to see are kind of compounding annual growth rates for a particular vertical. And that would be ideal to have for the vertical, the specific region that you're operating in. And then realistic figures around how much of that market share you think you can actually capture. I know that a lot of these exercises are fairly finger in the air, and sometimes we don't have the relevant data to use for that sort of stuff. But either way, what we're trying to bring across here is how big the opportunity is and if it's big enough for the investor that you're trying to pitch this to. Now, the third piece, super important, especially for the very early stages, early stage opportunities, is the team, right? I mean, I think understanding the problem is great. If the solution fits, that's even better. Then we need to figure out, is the team behind it that's kind of steering the ship the right team to take this company from 0 to 1 million in revenue, from 1 million to 10 million in revenue, and then ultimately from 10 million to 100, right? Because that's what we're trying to underwrite. We're trying to invest in the next unicorn or the next big exit that comes out of this part of the world. So the team needs to highlight their skill set, first of all. You can do that by background. You can do that by in any other way, in certain ways, but it's very important to display to your investors and to your audience that this is the best possible team that could execute on the mission that you've set for yourself. I think that's kind of it from on this particular topic. I will just leave you with one note on this, that investors look at a pitch. You basically have 30 seconds, yeah, after an investor opens your deck to bring across your message and to kind of catch their attention. So make sure that every slide is very concise and brings across the message very, very clearly, even if someone is quickly skimming through your materials. I mean, being diligent and having a lot of detail is great, but if no one reads that detail, it's irrelevant, right? So make sure that it's super, super concise and clear what's being presented. Now, moving on, I just want to like dedicate one section on the know your customer piece. You need to tailor your pitch to the audience that you're pitching to. So from our case, we are a venture capital fund. We have a specific thesis. Yeah, I didn't get to talk about it too much. I'm happy to elaborate at a later stage, but we are very, very specialized in a sense. So we are generic in terms of the industry verticals that we cover, but we're very specific in terms of geographic scope. We're very specific in the technologies that we invest in, and we've got clear exclusions from in our investment mandate of things that do not fall within our criteria. So you need to make sure that before sending something to a VC, not to waste your own time or to waste their time, is that you understand their thesis in a lot of detail. Because and you know, this is one key bit that a lot of founders forget about. They just think, all right, we've got 100 investors, my pitch materials are ready, let's bombard them with all the information that we have. And that is a very ineffective way to manage. It's more effective if you spend a lot of time preparing your fundraise before you actually reach out. So this is kind of creating an Excel sheet, listing all of the potential investors in the market, categorizing them, you know, figuring out what stages are these investors investing to, what are their theses, what is excluded, etc., and then finding your right match. Yeah. Once you've identified like a core group of people that you want to target, this is when you can start tailoring your pitch and you approach accordingly. Yeah. And yeah, one last thing on this as well is make sure you speak their language. Yeah, so in terms of performance, so if you are already beyond the commercialization stage, you've got customers in the market, there's signs of product market fit, etc. Show me that you've got product market fit by listing the right metrics. So the things that I would be interested in, for example, would be your customer acquisition cost to lifetime value ratio. Yeah. So how much money are you spending to acquire a customer, and how much is that customer worth at the end of the day? I want to see, you know, in terms of adoption, how many customers actually like to pay for your product, right? What is your growth? Yeah. So how can you improve that you're finding product market fit? So month on month top line growth is a big metric for us as well. Then beyond that, take rate, margins, and your take home pay, your EBITDA at the end of the day are all super, super important. Now, in terms of presentation skills, when you actually do get in front of the investors, one thing that I would like to highlight is you need to be passionate and very excited about what you're pitching, because how else is the counterpart or the investor going to get excited for you? Yeah. So this is super, super critical. Make sure you tell a story, right? Like humans relate to stories after all, but make sure you don't waffle and you're kind of concise, and do cut out any unnecessary jargon. Yeah, so that we don't need to overkill with any technical terms. It doesn't make you sound smarter. It doesn't make a solution sound more sophisticated. It might just confuse the other side, and then you lose their attention. Yeah, which is not what you want. Now, once you feel like you're ready to go to market, you've tailored your approach, etc. I think it is also important to just spend a bit of time on the relationship building piece. So I just highlighted it here on the bottom. Investors are humans too, right? And then ultimately, you need to put yourself in the investor's shoes, right? The building trust and credibility with these guys is key, and you want to do that as early as you possibly can. And in some cases, even if you're not ready to pitch, and we just had one of these scenarios 1 or 2 weeks ago, we've been in touch with a founder who's been thinking about building something for ages. In the meantime, he's established himself as somewhat of an expert in that particular niche to us. because he was regularly sharing industry-specific insights, reports, and any other stuff that he thought was relevant to us. Yeah, so he understood who his audience is, what they would be interested in, and he was proving to us that he was a vertical and a niche expert in that particular field. Yeah. Then after 3-4 months, he decided, yes, it is time now for me to get out of stealth mode with what I was building. And he approached us for a demo, and we are now considering an investment in that particular company. Yeah, so that is kind of the general my approach on this. I mean, if you're a later stage founder, numbers talk a lot, right? So you probably don't need to do a lot of these things. And if you've been around in the market, people know you, you've got existing relationships. But what I'm trying to say is really appealing to, or applying to the very early stage guys, pre-seed, seed stage, which are maybe doing it which are doing it for the first time. And are kind of learning as they're doing. Yeah. So I guess initiating the contact, building a report, then following up regularly is also important, because you cannot expect the VC to constantly reach out to you and to check in on how you're doing if they're seeing about 9,000-10,000 pitches a year, right? So it's very much your responsibility to reach out again, to keep investors updated on your progress. So we get put on a lot of mailing lists of monthly, quarterly reports. And a no today might turn into a yes in 2 months after a company has clearly established themselves in various of the areas that we had initial concerns with. Yeah. So I think that is kind of it from me on that side. It's a very long topic. I could speak about it for ages, and really dive into the detail. But I think for today's session, this should be fine. If anyone would like to reach out to me, please do that. And Sarah, please feel free to share my contact details with everyone. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. And if we still have time, I'm also happy to take some questions now.
Thank you so much, Philippe. We shared Philippe's detail on the chat box, and we have we'll spare like 3 minutes, another 3 minutes for questions. We have an exciting question for you, Philippe. First of all, thank you so much for this session. We learned a couple of tricks about how to pitch to VCs. There's a question from Bayan Kilawi. What if the startup is just launching the product and is in the process of acquiring new users? How will the pitch show the traction? And what are your advices for businesses that require time to obtain user trust?
So I think obviously in the early stages, when you might not be revenue generating necessarily, you've got other metrics that you can lean on to show that adoption of the solution that you're creating is happening, right? So new users signed on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is definitely an interesting indicator. But that is only relevant up until a certain stage, right? So like in MVP, kind of prototype or V1 of the product, that's certainly what we want to look at. And in these stages, traction is not the main thing that we're after, right? It's just a proof that something is heading into the right direction. In the very early stages, what you're underwriting are the skills of a founder, yeah, so the ability to build something with restricted budget, the size of the market opportunity, and then these couple of early signs that, hey, there might be a route for that particular product to find product market fit down the road. Yeah. So what you would want to look at are kind of these early data points that you've got access to. And don't be shy, right? Like no one was born a unicorn CEO. No one who kind of set off on their business journey and generated $10 million in their first year. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Philippe. I think we are coming to an end of our webinar. If you refer to the chat box, we are sharing the email address of Philippe, Anwar, and Lucia. Thank you so much for attending the session. Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Lucia, and thank you, Anwar, for sharing your invaluable knowledge with all our participants. This is a wrap-up of the session. You will find the recorded webinar coming up on the Apolympic Housespace platform you all registered in. And Lucia, Philippe, and Anwar will be happy to answer your question. Feel free to drop a message to them on their respective email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Until next time. Happy learning.